the Daily Eye Roll, where crocodiles in Ben Gvir's prison have better living conditions than the Palestinian detainees. My name is Mohammed Aslam. Today we are going to talk about how the Israeli government, who claim to be the only Jewish state, has developed a policy so grotesque and so dehumanizing that it defies comprehension. Even Boris, my colleague here, he can't read the articles. It actually upsets him, deeply upsets him. So, what do? The policy itself suggests any Palestinian prisoner who attempts to escape will be literally fed to the crocodiles. Think about that just for a moment. Can that really happen in today's world? Well, I'm afraid it can. It's a policy that treats human beings not as citizens, not as detainees, not even as enemies, but as disposable bodies to be thrown into the jaws of wild animals. The sheer cruelty signals a collapse of basic humanity in the only Jewish state, whilst transforming the prison system into a theatre of terror designed to break the spirit of an entire civilization. The Israelis are building a detention facility for Palestinians surrounded by a moat with wild crocodiles, and if any adult or indeed a child attempts to escape, they will be thrown into the moat. Boris has just had to step outside. He can't fathom the barbarity of such a policy. How can you explain that? Can you explain this? I certainly can't. When we thought things couldn't get any worse for the people of Palestine, then pops along the far-right National Security Minister Ben Gvir, the butcher of Palestine, who first proposed building a crocodile moat in December 2025. He said this was an inspirational idea on how to deal with human animals and scum. That's how he defines Palestinian people. The situation involving crocodiles and Palestinian prisoners is not treated as satire or as a rumour of any kind. It has become a chilling symbol of a security policy so grotesque that it's shaken the global consciousness. What should have been dismissed as an absurd impossibility, but has instead evolved into a policy that embodies a collapse of human and ethical morals, the mere suggestion that only the Jewish state would invoke crocodiles as part of its security strategy has triggered outrage and condemnation. It stands as a horrifying reminder of how far the Israeli government can drift from basic human decency. Critics online and internationally have pointed out the dark irony of the only Jewish state, steeped in madness, reverting to medieval-style castle moats filled with monsters for security, for indeed prison security. The irony embedded within the policy spans across political madness. The reptile guards are actually guarded by human guards themselves. I mean, how bizarre can that get? This spans across a theatre of bureaucratic absurdity. So, let's now look at the eye roll analysis. According to Israel's Channel 7, the Israeli officials have already begun examining crocodile feasibility, including visits to zoos to study crocodile eating habits. Presumably, this is driven by a twisted ideology believing efficiency equals power, similar to the death camp strategy during the Second World War. The prison numbers suggest around 10,000 Palestinians are currently held in Israeli detention centres, including women and children, of course. They're held under conditions that Palestinian and Israeli rights groups say involve starvation, torture, gang rape, and medical neglect, leading to agonizing deaths of dozens of detainees. If this continues, there won't be much left to throw at the crocodiles. It is clear that Israelis have deep emotional inclination to inflict massive casualties on the people of Palestine, whilst the world remains disgustingly silent. Today we can see the same World War II playbook, where the Israeli leadership appears to be recycling strategies from the very forces that once oppressed them. It looks like a tragic case of history being treated like a handbook instead of a warning for humanity. In a twist worthy of dark comedy, the government seems determined to prove that the lessons of the past were not learnt but photocopied, reissued as a modern policy. What we are now seeing is the planning of an Israeli genocide part 2, where crocodiles have been weaponized for greater efficiency and increased terror for the men, women and children in Israeli prisons. Last time somebody said this was scaremongering, the Israelis wouldn't even ever dare do anything so ludicrously grotesque. You clearly haven't seen with your own eyes, in your own living rooms, the carnage that took place and still is taking place in Gaza. Do you still think they are joking? Do you honestly think they are incapable of imposing such evil acts on humanity? Think carefully before you answer. We are experiencing a whole civilization being cast into the jaws of monsters. I don't know how to sign this podcast off, because the terror that comes into my mind of children and men and women being thrown alive into crocodile pits is just so overwhelming. But thank you for joining me today at the Daily Eye Roll. Tune in again for another horror show, which I can guarantee will make your eyebrows explode. Take care and goodbye for now. If you have enjoyed today's video, please subscribe, leave a comment and join our growing YouTube family. Your support really helps keep this conversation going.